1980s, Bayer Corporation produced a medicine that was supposed to improve the lives of hemophiliacs. Bayer didn't tell those hemophiliacs that their product was infected with HIV. Because of that, entire families of hemophiliacs died with AIDS as the virus spread within households. When Bayer was ordered to stop selling their drug in America, they dumped their AIDS-laden product in Asia and killed Asian families. No one with Bayer management was arrested. No one who made these psychopathic quality decisions went to prison. They claimed the protection of their status as a corporation. That corporate status gave management the ability to kill people for profit and not go to prison. I handled the civil case against Bayer and saw firsthand that this was a rogue operation, not typical of most corporations. But how do you put that rogue in prison? Who do you arrest? Today, rogue corporations have the best of all worlds. They take advantage of the constitutional protections that were originally written for living, breathing humans. They argue that the U.S. Supreme Court mandated 130 years ago that we must treat corporations exactly like we treat people. They argued that the 14th Amendment was written to protect their corporate person status with equal protection and due process. But when the conduct of that corporate person is so vile that they make decisions to kill people to increase profit, we hear the argument that it was a corporate-wide decision. We hear that there was no single person to hold accountable. They tell us that many people were involved in the acts, and we can't throw that corporation in prison. The U.S. Supreme Court expanded the definition of person even further for American corporations. The big winner were the corporations that are the most corrupt. This is a Supreme Court that is packed mostly with lawyers who were employed by America's most powerful corporations before they became judges. It's a court full of judges who sit on the court largely because the corporate powerhouses they once represented helped put them there. Their decisions are predictable. When this court finished writing its opinion about treating corporations more like people, the product they delivered looked like one of those warm and fuzzy Hallmark greeting cards that rallies our emotions with feel-good pictures of puppies and kittens and cherub-like babies. By way of words, they're going to paint a Norman Rockwell-like picture that's going to make us want to invite this saint-like corporate person to dinner with our families. A word of advice, though, if you do invite them over for dinner, send the children to another room and count the silver settings before this corporate person leaves the house. Most importantly, recognize that Mother Teresa character that the U.S. Supreme Court tries to sell you has more in common with Freddy Krueger. As this court expands the constitutional protections of this poor, misunderstood entity known as the corporate person, they should also spend some time expanding avenues that allow us to do what we do with any psychopath who harms our family. Put handcuffs on them and throw them in prison.
Know that they're involved in a secret financial manipulation and that they want it kept secret. And so I'm prepared to trade, Mr. Naftari. My silence in exchange for Wintercam.
But you have Wintercam.
Our contract has to be renegotiated so that if Borough National goes under, I don't lose my company to the Saudis. My silence is the only leverage I have.
Forgive me, but silence about what? Some secret financial manipulation? You expect them to believe me if I use those words?
Water. You cannot pull $95 million in one chunk from a bank the size of Borough National. When I undertook to manage this plan, you agreed to do it gradually in small amounts. You're now starting to move billions in a matter of weeks.
The world economic situation is deteriorating more rapidly than we had thought. We don't think we can afford to wait, Max.
There will be no collapse in the foreseeable future unless you panic and start it with some damn fool move like this.
And if you are wrong, what then? We wake up one morning, our oil is gone. We find that we have sold all we have in exchange for paper money that is worthless.
When the Arabs learn that word of what they've been doing is out, they may panic, move a big chunk of funds too fast or the wrong way, really destabilize the monetary markets. Then the dollar will collapse. Whereupon there'll be a lot of jawboning by the president, and that won't work. Then they'll go to selling gold, and that won't work either. Then they'll have to go to capital controls, freeze foreign assets, stop any money from going in or out, and that will be the end of all the markets. That'll really be the finish. Then you'll see a worldwide depression that'll make the 1930s look like a kindergarten. In 2 months, you'll have bread lines in Detroit, riots in Pittsburgh. In 6 months, you'll see grass right over Rodeo Drive, and Michigan Boulevard, and Fifth Avenue, and I won't have done it, Hub. You will. All because you tried to stop a movement that couldn't be stopped anyway. Listen to me, Hub. Money, capital, has a life of its own. It's a force of nature, like gravity, like the oceans. It flows where it wants to flow. This whole thing with the Arabs and gold is inevitable. We're just going with the tide. The only question is whether you want to let it go like an unguided missile and raise hell, or whether you want to keep it in the hands of responsible people. Keep it channeled. Keep it quiet. Believe me, Hub, the dollar will hold. Believe me. The system will be fine, providing nobody panics.
It began 8 days ago when a group of Arab investors withdrew billions of dollars from U.S. banks. That in turn started a chain reaction on the world money markets. Dollars, pounds, marks, francs, yen. Not one currency escaped. This scene outside a Manhattan bank was duplicated all over the world as people saw their life savings become worthless in a matter of hours. Good evening. I'm George Page in New York, and this is another in our series of reports on the world economic crisis. The growing paralysis of the industrial world has left millions without jobs, without money, and without hope. Crowds of unemployed poured into Washington yesterday. They stood in silent protest before the nation's leaders. At the same time, more than 1 million people packed St. Peter's Square, where the Pope urged calm and nonviolence. The pontiff asked for prayers for world leaders, prayers and peace and reason. But the last 24 hours have been marked by growing protests and ever-increasing violence. Last night, demonstrators burned American currency in front of the White House, and attempts to put out the fires led to a confrontation with police. Every hour, from every corner of the globe, there are new reports of outraged crowds demanding action. A bankrupt world seems to be teetering on the very edge of anarchy.
And now for continued coverage from around the world. A statement was issued from the OPEC meeting today that the leading oil-producing nations would resume oil exports as soon as the international monetary markets have stabilized. The panic has spread across political and philosophical boundaries. The USSR and the developed Eastern European communist countries, dependent on Western trade and capital, have witnessed the same riots that have taken place in the West. The Economic Summit Conference tomorrow will be attended by leaders of the West, the East, and the Third World. Said one, there is a need for a unity of purpose and resolve unequaled since the end of World War II. At this time of crisis, there has been a turning to the past as well as the future. Words spoken by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in the depths of the Depression were quoted in the Senate today. This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, frankly and boldly. Nor need we shrink from honestly facing conditions in our country today. This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and will prosper. We face our common difficulties. They concern, thank God, only material things. Each age is a dream that is dying, or one that is coming to birth.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, remember, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell If you do like what you're listening to, please tell your friends and family and spread the word on social media. This is the time where we need everybody to pay attention. Remember, it is absolutely free of charge to learn on YouTube. Whatever you're learning, a lot of times it's free of charge to learn on YouTube, but finances is very important at this time. Now, the first topic I want to go over, I received an email asking me what was the Fed's purpose for dropping the stock market. And I felt like that was a great question. So I just want to go over it this morning. Now, I must say that, remember, this is all planned out, guys. This is not something that just happens. Remember, the top 10% owns 84% of the stock market. So this is all planned out. They make money whether it goes up. They make money whether it was going down. Now, the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, advised that they're going to have the repo market under control by April, and then he's changed it to around summertime. So, guys, what's the best way of getting this repo market under control? And that is dropping the stock market. Because remember, the Fed was pumping stocks. If you look at the S&P, you look at the repo market, it aligns straight up. So that's the reason why they dropped it. So therefore, we can get the liquidity under control. And that's how you do it. Remember, everybody's running to the US dollar. Everybody's running to the US dollar because majority of the globe is either at zero or negative interest rates. Now, something also interesting happened is that gold plummeted. The reason why, remember I went over this in previous video, is that the dollar and the gold was strong. Dollar and gold is strong. Never happens ever. Either the dollar goes up, gold drops down. Dollar goes down, gold goes up. Never before in history have we had both of them aligned together. And it dropped because, of course, yields are out of this world. Bond yields are so low, it's just amazing. And anybody who's watching it knows it's out of control. But gold plummeted like it's worthless. So we have to understand that this is all manipulated. None of it makes any sense. And if you try to make sense of it, you'll make yourself look like a fool. None of it makes any sense. And even though this is planned, the way they do things, this is still territory they've never even been into. Because we've never done this before. We've never had the longest bull market. We never had a currency as strong, a world reserve currency as strong as it's been. We've never been at a point where stocks are this out of this world. 19 times earnings. Some stocks are don't even have any earnings in the negative, and they're still at 12 and 13 times earnings. Just going off potential. Look at Tesla. Tesla is negative, not making any money. But look where the stock is at. It's like I said, it's amazing. But we have to understand that in this place, there's still places to make money. It's like I said, you have your chip stocks. Of course, they're selling the narrative on the virus, which those stocks went up. You have a whole nother different economy that's happening, which is blockchain, crypto, algorithms, supercomputers that are brand new. That's basically is going to be raised towards the end of the year. So we're going to go from this old system over to the new blockchain, algorithm, quantum computing system towards the end of the year. And then, of course, 2021 is where we get on our feet and run. So the market that we have now is going to be temporary. Now, is the stock market going to crash? Yes. but it's going to be totally different from what we're used to, because it's going to go on blockchain. A lot of people feel like the market is going to drop. It's going to be chaos. No, this is going to be a controlled demolition, where it's simply going to transfer you from one system to another. Now, in that transfer, we're going to have a whole nother different economy. And you're just going to have to move towards that economy. Same way when the internet came out, a lot of IT jobs were lost. At first, IT was a big thing. After computers started getting smarter and smarter, sure, whatever jobs you were on, you had 100 IT down to one guy running the whole system. Just the fact is, you have to move with innovation. And that's what we have to remember. It's not going to crumble the way people just, the fear. That's why I said, don't buy the fear. Are we going to have a system that's going to change? Yes. But you have to understand, if you want to survive this system, just like right now, look at our current system right now. You still have homeless and poverty people in the system that we have now, and supposedly the greatest country ever. So yes, we're going to have poor and considered wealthy rich. There is not going to be any more middle class. But it's up to you to decide which side you want to be on. That's the side. It's clear. So you have to strategize and say, okay, I see where this economy is going. Let me start investing here. Let me start moving my money over here. Let me take on this trade because I know this is going to happen. Let me learn algorithms. Let me learn coding. It's up to you to make that transition. So the fact is that it's always an opportunity, and the stock market is always going to be opportunity. So I don't want you to get scared, and because I see a lot of the YouTube channels, even though I educate, but I also make sure you understand that as long as you're moving with the system, you're going to be fine. There's no reason to be scared. I see a lot of YouTube channels, get your canned goods, get your food, get your guns. No. If you look at the United States, I want you to take a look at the United States. The United States is going to be set up like a big casino. Like when you go to these islands, when you go to Aruba, Jamaica, all these islands, Mexico, Cancun, Mexico, Costa Rica, they're set up like casinos. That's how America is going to be set up. That's the reason why gambling is coming legal everywhere. That's why marijuana is going to be coming legal everywhere. That's why they want 5G everywhere. Because the fact is that just about everything is going, that's what blockchain does. It makes everything cheap. That's the whole purpose of it. And then you have your gambling, you have your your marijuana, of course your alcohol. It's going to be nothing but a casino where people are going to come to the United States to spend money. And it's up to you or whether you set yourself up for that success. Just look at it. Casinos are being built. Just like I said, I know a whole lot of you don't have time. You have your kids working. But casinos are being built everywhere. All of a sudden, any store you go into, for some reason, there is some type of gambling machine sitting in the corner. Tons of them where you can't even walk around. So the United States is totally getting a makeup change if you just take a step back and look at it. And while this makeup change is happening, you got to find your place in it. That's why I talk about cryptos. That's the reason why I started my channel. Because this is the time for you to invest. Because it's new. Once everybody gets hip to it, they're going to take it to zero. They do it all the time. The stock market, they can take the zero in 2 seconds. As we can see, they shaved off $3 trillion in a week. So they have the opportunity. They're the house. They have the money. They control it. So if I control it, I can do whatever I want to do. That was the whole point of buybacks. Remember, I went over buybacks yesterday. And basically, I'm going to put the buyback link in there so you can see it. You have Verizon that did 100 million shares. It's $5.4 billion. You have Apple did about the same amount, actually more. They own their own companies. There is no such thing as a publicly traded company anymore. Those days are gone. Your job is to make sure you protect your family and friends to make sure they're successful. Now, getting into crypto, XRP. I did a video on XRP. A lot of people stated that in the court document, it stated that the judge was did not dismiss the security. Guys, that judge is not going to rule on the security. That's the reason why Ripple didn't even touch on that. If Ripple was a security, the SEC would have been came in. Do you know how old Ripple is? Do you know how old XRP is? The SEC would have already come in and fined them or stopped them from selling it. It's not. They're controlled by the central banks. It's a done deal. XRPL is going to control this whole system. There's nothing but an IOU. It's going to work just like the dollar does right now. The dollar is not money. It's a loan. It's just an IOU. That's why you pay a bill with a bill. It's nothing but an IOU, people. Now, with the crypto market, we're flat. Just like I said, guys, we're going to go straight back up this coming week. You're going to slowly see us going up. The fact is, the only reason why we dumped, you had Bitmex, you had CME at the same time. Cryptos is nothing but a casino. It's controlled, manipulated. But get in. I went over the cheapest stocks. The cheapest cryptos you can get into. Get into those cryptos. Make your money. Hold the ones that you want to hold, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Hold those, put those aside, and then trade your cheapest ones you possibly can get your hands on to make your supplemental income. It's easy money, people. It's easy money. So that's what we need to focus on. But guys, that's all I have for you. Don't forget about the book, especially for the crypto newbies. Get it for your friends and family, so therefore they can start understanding. Let them know about the channel. It's very serious. It's not a game. We only have a few more months. It's definitely serious. This is the time, just like I said, you sit your family down and explain to them that this economy is about to change and your livelihood is about to change. Look across the globe. Just like I said, we had 0% interest, negative interest, pensions are bankrupt, Medicaid, Medicare is going bankrupt. Remember, GE had a whole lot of that. A lot of this is being bankrupt, but like I stated, you cannot buy the fear. Your job is survival. You're looking into areas where I can make money, where I can be solid. While everybody else is scrambling, I'm sitting back and I know I took care of my family, friends, or at least I told them, hey, this is what you should have did, but you didn't do it. We have to prepare. This is the end. This is the end game, guys. So as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to be fine. Just like I said, in this economy here, where we're supposed to be in the greatest economy, you still have homeless people. You still have poverty. People living, paycheck to paycheck. But then you also have the people on the other side who are enjoying it because they made the proper moves. And that's what you have to do. And it's still going to be the same way. That's just the way the system is. But our job is to make sure that we educate as many people as possible. That's the reason why I said I did my channel. I just need to make sure that you're doing your own research. Educating yourself. Not just listen to me. Go on and do your own research. I just put it out there, so therefore you can go, hey, let me go behind this guy and let me see what they're talking about. Let me see what they're saying is truth. That's why I make sure I put evidence in my videos and not just talk. So therefore you can go behind, do your research, so therefore you can make the proper moves and say, okay, oh yeah, it's time to get serious. Let me go tell my friends and family. But guys, it's all halfway. Just like I said, remember, don't forget about the book, BTCteacher.com to get the book. Also, you can go to Amazon. I also have the links, Binance, Bitrue, Coinbase to get your cryptos, Robinhood for your stocks. Don't forget, everything's going to have a chip in it. Cobalt. And remember, the narrative, the virus, a lot of those stocks are booming right now. Some of them, you can still get your hands on. But like I stated, guys, whatever narrative they're trying to sell in the media, do your research, find out those stocks, go buy them, because that's the reason why they're selling it. Always, when you're listening to the media, they're trying to sell you something. Don't forget where TV came from. Don't forget that. Do your research. Don't forget where TV came from. They're selling you something. So if they're selling you something, go do your research and then go invest, whether you're shorting or whether you're in it to gain. But guys, y'all have a wonderful day, and thank you a lot for listening.